Hi, this is Jeff Tate, and you're listening to Brigade-Radio-One.
You're listening to Brigade-Radio-One.
Oh, welcome. Hey, you're going to have to find yourself a seat, Ricco. We got an extra guest here today. Nice of you to make it. Ladies and gentlemen, friend of the show. And, yeah, let's get our hellos out of the way.
Hey, man, what's up?
Hey,
what up, everybody?
Welcome. Nice of you to make it, man. And Ricco was where at 12 noon?
I was downstairs.
Okay.
Trying to find a parking place.
Another one of our favorite people, friend of the program and another dynamic talent of stage and screen, Mr. Ricco Ross. Another Corporal Frost in Aliens. We all know him. Yeah, some applause. He was the guy that blew all his Colonial Marines sky high by dropping the ammo bag into the flames after he got lit up. You know, hold on a second. Actually, you know what? You can. We're pretty casual here. You can get yourself another chair. Hook yourself up. We don't want anybody standing around here. We're all good about it. And Ricco, you've done some pretty exciting stuff, and we're very excited to have Mark here. This is actually a real privilege for us.
We're in trouble with Mark, though, man.
Why? What happened?
I don't know if Mark should be allowed on the radio.
Why not? What'd he do?
Is this rated R? Or rated X or what?
It's
man?
rated whatever you want.
You don't get Mark talking, man, without putting some limitations on it.
Just don't turn around, Ricco.
We definitely like to keep the profanity to a minimum. We almost never do. But, you know, I mean, hey, my kid listens. But, you know, we're good. I'm just actually thrilled that you guys both made it down. I was a little concerned. I was like, we had an empty studio, and I'm like,
and then
well,
boom.
I saw them. Yeah, and then here you guys are. It's a thunderstorm of excitement. The powder keg has erupted. But anyway, so, Ricco, I know you're fixing your glasses here. Why don't you go tell us a little bit about your experiences here with this guy and what this guy's all about.
My experiences with Mark, oh my goodness. But anyway, first of all, Mark and I worked on Aliens together. And we were both living in England at the time.
Uh-oh. Well, let me interrupt you. Do you have the same deal on the picture that he had?
Yes.
Oh.
Unfortunately.
Oh.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
It's almost cruel for me to even mention it, but I just had to know.
Yes.
I cried when I found out.
I cried when I found out.
Yeah.
I was like, I actually asked him. I said, I hope you're getting your check, man, because they are jamming that movie down everyone's throat 2 or 3 times a week.
So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about from last show, we were talking about the fact that Mark and I and Jeanette and some other people, we were living in England at the time. American actors working as actors over there, and we had to sign, even though we were SAG members, because we were on British soil, we had to sign a British equity agreement for the movie Aliens.
And most people will tell you that agreement is based on a former KGB document from the Cold War that they used to get political prisoners to sign before they took their rights away.
Hey,
They made them confess to a bunch of
it worked
shit.
the same way. It was just as effective.
So you guys have to sign it. Well, first of all, take us through the process, because we do have a lot of fans of your work, both of you. You guys go to the audition or get the call, or you're fighting your way through the ranks in England, and what happened?
I lied my ass off.
Lied your ass off about what?
Well, I sat there with Gail Ann Hurd, who was James Cameron's wife at the time, but also the producer of the film. And, she sat down and the proverbial question, so what have you been doing? And I just finished a movie with Al Pacino. It was a horrible film. It was called Revolution.
That's right.
It was one of Pacino's worst, I'm sure.
Were you one of the Redcoats in that, or were you one of the Rebels? You know, it's a great cast in that movie. It's not a good film, but great cast.
Yeah, I was one of the Redcoats.
Also, you were with Donald Sutherland.
Yep.
Okay, but you get to say Al Pacino, so that sounded good.
But no, I sat there and I told this weave, lasted at least a half an hour. I made it sound like I had the next best part to Al Pacino, and it just rolled right off my tongue. And I went home and I told my then wife, I said, I told a major lie today. And then an hour later, I got the call that I was going to get cast. So
From Gail?
Yeah.
Wow. Good.
So how do they know the movie's not going to come out? Right?
Well, the fact is,
You're doing what actors do when they first start.
As an actor, you could do all those things opposite Al Pacino. So, it's just a matter of someone giving you the opportunity, which Gail Ann Hurd and Cameron did, right? So there you have it. So you get the call. And what's the next step for you after you get that call? They tell you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they got us immediately into this crazy regimen of, drinking amino acid drinks and pumping iron, and because they were sure that we were going to look like real Marines.
Right.
So that was about 3 months, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. So they get you into a 3-month boot camp.
Whew. And we had special forces dudes, it was like 9 in the morning, and you're doing a 5-mile run, and then lifting and exercises, and We were pretty pumped up.
They had you guys together as a platoon, huh? So you can start to relate to each other. And
Ricco and I used to do the way. Well, we shared a dressing room, so we made friends anyway. But we used to do the buff down in the morning to see who really had it going on. I won.
Go look at the movie, y'all. Go look at the movie. Tell me who wins.
So, yeah, well, you all have a chance to display it for sure. So you guys go through this 3-month boot camp. I mean, you were living in England at the time?
Yeah.
So you had an English agent and all that, and he worked out your deal, and you got paid in pounds essentially, or
pounds? That's right.
So you guys do the 3-month boot camp. You haven't seen the set yet, but did you guys do a read through before you?
Yeah, we did a read through. Yeah.
Were you guys cool with it? Did it map out in the script the way it mapped out in the film? I imagine Cameron's pretty particular.
Yeah.
And so you knew, oh shit, I die, an hour into this thing. I was hoping I'd be like one of the last 2 or 3 guys. Both of you guys have good deaths, actually. I would say that there's some weak deaths in there. I mean, there's some faceless deaths. We're not going to name those guys. We're not going to call them out. But you both have good death scenes, which I imagine are on your reels, right?
Yeah, my story is a little different. I went in there with a little leverage because I had just gotten cast in Stanley Kubrick's next movie, which was Full Metal Jacket. So I went in there. I was feeling like.
But how do we know you're telling the truth, Ricco?
Never lie about this stuff. But so I actually went in there with some juice. I felt I had some heat behind me. So you guys got to keep in mind that at this time James Cameron, he had only done Piranha. He wasn't a big name.
Of all the credits, he wasn't a big name. But he had Terminator. You don't have to say Piranha. You don't have to throw Piranha out there. That's one he's trying to sweep under the rug, Ricco.
Yes, that's true. He did have Terminator. But
okay.
But when I met him, I mean, the name couldn't compare with Kubrick.
Right.
It just wasn't comparable at all. So I'm thinking, and every actor wants to work with Kubrick. So I'm thinking, well, I got to do the Kubrick film. But then Kubrick was giving me such a hard deal that I just didn't really.
What's a hard deal? No end of the schedule in sight?
No, first of all, I mean, he's a strange director. His movies are strange, but it reflects his personality. First of all, he wouldn't allow anybody to read the script.
Yeah.
You can get a couple scenes, but you couldn't read the script. Now, I don't know whether it was because he didn't have the script completed.
I think he was
or
paranoid.
Or he was paranoid that anything would get out. So we as actors, we'd come in there and we would look at a scene, and then he would say, okay, this is your scene, do your scene. And then it came to, can I look at the whole script? No one's getting the script. Can we talk about payment? Everybody's working a scale, which is basically saying the lowest I can possibly pay you within the union. And then I'm thinking, okay, I got scale, I got a scene, and he's offered me 8 weeks, but that's it. And I don't even really know what the character's going to be doing. For all I know, at the end of the movie, the character could be on his knees, giving somebody a blowjob. I just want to give me an idea of what I'm going to do. And he said, well, what is going to happen is we're going to go into workshops, and then what you bring to the part is what we're going to create with the movie, and that's what you're going to get out of the part. I'm thinking, oh, great, this is an actor's dream. So I'm cool with that. Then I get the offer from Cameron, and Cameron says, well, this is early on, and I'm thinking, I would love to do the movie, but if I'm going to do it, you got to give me something big.
Can you compare the two in how they communicate as directors to you? Like, can you compare Kubrick? I see him as kind of like a diabolical guy who sits in the corner scheming, and Cameron is more of like a guy who probably just points and says, get over there. Well, can you compare him? I mean, I don't know if that's right.
I don't know. Mark might have a different view, but for me, Cameron was he was a young dude. He you could talk to him when you're not shooting like us. And he was a very easy guy to talk to. But when he was working, his mind seemed to be preoccupied. So when you would ask him questions, listen, do you want me to go here or go there? You may get an answer like yes.
Yeah.
Not knowing what the hell he's talking about because he's thinking about all these other things, and
right.
he just think, yeah, right. So he was a little preoccupied. But outside of the shoot, man, the dude was just a normal dude at that time. People talk about him being cocky and all that. I found him very, very much like a regular guy outside of the shoot. On the shoot, he knew everything, so he wanted the best of everything he was doing. What do you think about that, Mark? What was your
I
about
agree.
that, Mark?
I think he's a genius.
Yeah.
He knows everybody's job on the set. He's a perfectionist. The only thing he can't do is act. So he's not so much an actor's director per se, but he knew what he wanted to do. And think about it, that movie was made for $18 million.
Unbelievable,
isn't it? I mean, that's the most interesting anecdote because in today's money, that's $200 million.
Yeah,
and he was responsible for all the overages, so he was sure he was going to get everything that he wanted, on film. But It was great, man. It was like playing war.
Yeah.
Every day,
It is an unbelievable sequel when you think about it, because it set the bar so high, and he deserves a lot of credit for just totally taking it in another direction from what Ridley Scott did, of that real sort of ominous setting, and kind of taking some of those elements, but really blowing the roof off the theater. I mean, that's the one thing I really appreciated. Was I was like, I remember watching it going, they'll never do a 3. How do you do a 3 after that? How do you burn down the fucking theater? How do you do 3? And then, of course, they did a 3, and everyone said the same thing. Why did they do this? Here's a talented group, the star is back, Sigourney, and they're like, what do you can't follow it up. It's a bridge burner. It's like, it's like they just burned it down, and what do you do? And here you guys are. But when you guys are doing the regiment, right, you guys have your discussions with Cameron. What was your first meeting with Cameron like, Mark?
Oh, fascinating, because I'd met Gale already.
Yeah.
Walked into his office, and what I remember most was that, the first thing was when you read the script, it's such a page turner. I read this script in like 45 minutes because it was just boom, boom, action, move, move, move. But when I walked into his office, his whole office was just adorned with storyboards that he's quite an artist, that he had penned himself.
Yeah.
I mean, each frame was an extraordinary piece of art, and it literally covered the entire office. But sat down, he was real personable, and just more or less said, I read for him, and then he said, "Hey, welcome, you're welcome on board," and that was it.
And was your role well described? I mean, did you guys both understand that you were going to be like the heavy machine gunner, and you were going to have some of the better dialogue?
I came earlier than Mark. I got involved with it, and at that time, I think he had only hired a couple of the leads. And he says it's such early days right now, and because I thought I had a little juice, I was like, listen, if you can't offer me something that's substantial, I got to do the Kubrick film.
Look at you! Look
I know
at Ricco.
I know, young buck, man, young buck. And then so he said, well, tell you what I'll do. He says, because I read the script, and I was the first guy to get killed, and I'm like, oh, come on, man, you gonna knock the brother off?
You're not the first
again?
guy, though. You're not
the first version. Come on,
Oh, actually.
the first version of the script. The first version of the script.
So they changed your death scene.
So then he told me, he said, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to combine these two roles, and I'm going to put it in yours. And you can have that one, or you can have, or he was offering me Mark's part. And I kind of chose the other part. And then Mark got out there, and he had his uniform, had his arms showing and everything.
Like, damn.
He had the big gun. I'm thinking, damn, I made the wrong choice.
Yeah, you know what? Because I'd imagine when
It's the
Sigourney...
tale of our lives. Mark's always got the big gun.
I'd imagine like you were looking at that script and everyone was looking at it and says, "Look at this guy. This guy gets to use the harsh language. She don't like the all the rhythmic humor and laughter follows. You got
Delivery, baby, delivery.
Dialogue,
Delivery.
I mean, you get to torture some people, which you're good at on screen. I have to admit. You're good at two things. I was, I have to, and I'm just recalling from memory as a film guy, but you're good. You get blown away really well. And you get to play bad guys really well.
Yeah, I give great death.
He does, but the other thing Mark does is in the breakfast scene, Mark, I thought, also brought some humor to his character to give it some kind of depth. Because normally his character was just this sour-faced guy that just looked to hurt something. And in the breakfast scene, he's down there, he's got the guy's hand, he's got Bill Paxton's hand down, and after the Bill goes crazy with the knife over it, Mark slaps him on the back and walks away and says, enjoy your meal, right? He brought a little different element to the character. I thought it was good, too.
Let me ask you this, Mark. How much of that is you? How much of that would you look at the script and say, this is how I'm going to play it? I'm going to be Sergeant Grit, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way the character's written. I mean, he's a bonehead, but... what was really great about the process was that we were actually able to really develop the characters ourselves over time, because we had this whole training session, and then in the midst of training sessions, Cameron would come in and talk with you and see how things were going. But we also got to decorate our own. We had to make our own costumes, basically.
Personalize it.
Yeah, you personalized it. Like, it was crazy. Remember that day? We were in this art department, and there's just bones and crazy things, leather and paint, and everyone had their own take on what adornments you would have, and I sort of gravitated to chicken bones, and I made all these. I don't know. I like chicken, but I made these necklaces, and I had bones hanging off my hat and everything. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was great.
But it was cool. It's
very cool.
It made.
I did this. I get this from fans a lot too, because I one of the things I did.
You have fans?
Ooh, ouch! I didn't see that coming. Man.
That's the way the show's going.
So this dude, so I get this. Our helm, our body part is part helm, a metal, as you guys know, and I scratch into it a heart, and I was going to put my lady's name at the time was Heather. I was going to put Heather in the heart and have a arrow going through.
You never immortalized.
I know
the
you
lady
never
of
did.
the day.
You never did, but I did. And,
this reason.
and I'm scratching it into the metal, and I realize I have run out of room, so I get Heath. which I used to call her Heath, right? So that was cool. I thought I'd just put Heath in. But I got a lot of people saying, so who's Heath? Who's Heath?
Yeah. At the time, you don't realize how people are going to,
so
micro.
I heart Heath. That's what it is. I heart Heath. And Heath was a big, I think one of the prime ministers' name was Heath in England. So they thought it was a guy. Maybe they probably thought I was gay or something like that. But I'm cool.
Frost the homo.
Frost the homo, whatever, dude. I'm good with it.
This is all going to be available in the director's cut, right? The extended.
So who's Heath?
Cut, the 25
Frost
year
and
anniversary.
Heath, huh? Okay.
When you guys did, what did they shoot that? Pinewood?
Yeah.
So when you guys step on this, first day, right?
Well, it wasn't all shot at Pinewood. It was also shot on this this power. Power station they had. This huge power station that was built, and I don't know when. It looked like it was built in the 20s or something like that. Yeah. And so part of it was shot at the studio, and part of it was shot there.
Yeah.
Both in London, though.
But just walk us through your first day, right? You guys get your call time.
I got the best first day of all.
Really?
Yeah, it was a true introduction to filmmaking. It was my death scene.
Oh, they did that
my
first. That was
day
the
up.
first day.
Totally, my first day up. Yeah, man, with all the, they had to put this goo on your face, any exposed pieces, because they took a real live flamethrower, and wiped the camera with this flamethrower. I had the flamethrower in my hand, and after I get hit with the blood, I had to go with the flamethrower across the frame.
Right.
But you're all hooked up with you had the stuff that would on the appliance that would bubble, fizz, and smoke when they applied water to it, but you couldn't breathe it because it was toxic. So you had to hold your breath, get ready. They call action. You do all your screaming and wipe the frame with the full-on flamethrower, the shooting flame 25 yards.
Well, you can feel that heat just looking at it.
And then fall in between a bunch of flame bars, holding your breath, and then wait for the two huge stunt guys to come and lift you up away to this massive helicopter fan to blow all the toxic crap away from your face so you didn't die.
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
Day one, baby.
Your agent's getting called by action directors everywhere right now. Get me that guy. That's the guy I need.
No.
That's the kind of guy you want on an action movie.
That's right.
Like, hey, by the way, if one step goes wrong, this whole place will blow sky high. So listen, when you're doing it, you're the kind of guy people want to hire. Hey, you guys want some coffee, by the way?
How many takes did that take?
How many what?
How many takes would that take?
That was only three takes, because it was such a massive setup. But I remember I blew the first take because, I have this flamethrower that's going 25 yards. I kind of shot it over top of the camera, and then Cameron was like, "Dude, just straight into the camera, okay? Straight into the." I said, "Are you serious?" I mean, they had these plexiglass boards up in front of the camera. He goes, "Yes, just right at us." He was a little tense at that moment.
Yeah, I bet.
But
you know who else was intense was the insurance company, right?
Oh yeah.
They were like, "Wait a minute, James. When we talked about bonding this picture."
It gets worse.
Hey everyone, it's Ethan, the executive director here at Brigade-Radio-One. As many of you know, we produce a lot of radio content with people like director Michael Lang of Bones and X-Files, director Steve Surgic of Lost in Space, Daredevil, Luke Cage. We work with a lot of producers as well, from Cindy Caponera of Shameless to Jason Schumann of Role Models to Eric Linus Kaplan of Futurama and Big Bang Theory. What we need is partnership. Go to patreon.com/Brigade-Radio-One. Become a partner today. Score yourself some concert tickets, VIP access, behind-the-scenes footage, and all kinds of other craziness. Get involved, become a partner. Help us not only deliver great radio content, but also help make the world a better place. Go to patreon.com/Brigade-Radio-One. You better subscribe to this channel before you look uncool.